Welcome back to Challenge 9, Chapter 3. Here is my solution. Please note that as we progress through these exercises and challenges, it is not necessary for me to explain line by line, but I will explain any new aspects. If you need clarification, please leave a comment or drop me an email. In the script, I use $state to initialize variables for countdown, random number, and color, and set objects for the shapes, as required. I mentioned in the challenge that the areas are re-rendered automatically, or are they? As you will know from previous exercises and challenges, if you use state alone, then you need to do the manual updates. In some situations. So, for the area of a square, since we are using state only, I use a function update square side to ensure that the area of a square is updated when the new random number is generated. We will see this being called in the effect below that handles the timer, random number, and more. Next, we have a derived for the area of a circle, as required. Now you might be wondering why I am not updating the property value circle.area, and if you tried this you would find that it does not work. In fact, SvelteKit warns you not to update state within $derived. So, that is why I have to use a variable with $derived to get the value of the circle area. And I need to add an $effect to update the error property of the circle object, since it was requested to display the object property. This is why I asked you to use objects, so that you are aware that you cannot assign $derived to object properties, at least not in this version of Svelte. Okay, let's move on to the triangle area, and since this must use effect and effect can handle updating of object properties, that is what we are doing here. Next, we have the timer effect where we get a random number, color, and update the side, radius, and base with the random number. Note here that we call the function update square side because although we could just update the side property of the square object, this would not update the area property. Both properties are updated in the function. Note also in this $effect, we use the return function for cleanup of the timer. Anytime you use a timer, add a cleanup function. That completes the script. In the markup we are required to display the object property for the area. That is why I used both a derived and an effect to satisfy the objectives. And finally, the countdown message. Since countdown was declared with $state, then anytime countdown changes, Svelte will automatically track this and update every instance. If you are thinking, wait a minute, the objects are also declared with $state, so if you update square.side, then when doesn't square.area get updated? Well, reactivity is not automatically tracked for object properties. The $state reactivity applies only to the object reference, square, and not to its individual properties. As you saw here, if you want to update object properties directly, then $effect can do that, but derived cannot. Okay, I hope you tackled that challenge and learnt more about the nature of runes reactivity. Before we wrap this up, let's look at the key concepts covered in this challenge. How to manage reactive state in SvelteKit 5 using $state for variables like square, circle, triangle, and random numbers. How to set up timers and update state at regular intervals using $effect and set interval, and the importance of using a cleanup function for the timer. How to calculate reactive derived values using $derived for the circle area, noting that $derived cannot directly update object properties. How to use different reactivity mechanisms, $state for the square, $derived for the circle, and $effect for the triangle. How to dynamically update the UI, including changing text and colors based on reactive values. Now, that's a wrap on Challenge 9, and I believe I have one more challenge for this chapter, so I will see you in the next video for that.